Hey guys, what is going on? It is Spherical here. We are back with the 7 Deadly Sins, Season 2, Episode 4. Last time on, Meliodas got his sacred treasure back. Ban and King have encountered another one of these golem things in the fairy forest. Things are getting interesting. Again, the main crew is at Camelot right now. Of course, that main crew doesn't include Ban and King and Elaine. And everybody else who stayed at the capital, of course. Or, I mean, not Elaine. Of course, not Elaine. Jericho is who I meant to say. But yeah, I'm ready to get into this episode. I don't know. I'm guessing we're gonna see Ban and King fight off this thing. So, again, I think King's gonna step in. He's gonna be the man of the hour. He's gonna show the fairies, be like, "Hey, I'm back. Harlequin's back. I'm ready to rule this place." But he's also really not, because he's going to leave again, right? So, I don't know. Anyways, I'm ready to get into the episode. So, as always, link is at the top of the description. It'll take you to Vimeo. You can watch the reaction highlight there. And then head back here afterwards for the post-episode discussion. With that out of the way, let's get into the episode. Alright, that was episode number 4 of Season 2 of the 7 Deadly Sins. Holy shit. Alright, so Galen's one of the 10 Commandments, who, by the way, Meliodas does seem to know them on a name-by-name basis, because, again, he recognized Galen right away when he saw him, so we already know they have some history. So, I mean, that's not too big of a revelation, but Galen's power level is 26,000. And again, they had said that King's power level, the 10 Commandments said that the one who defeated the first, or the tall slender one, had a power level double to that of the Albion. And the Albion, I'm pretty sure, again, this might have been an estimate, but I'm pretty sure Hawk had said that the first Albion we saw was somewhere around 5,000. Granted, again, it would make sense considering most of the Sins are around 3,000. Merlin's in like the high 4,000s, I think. That'd be, I think, an accurate, reading from what we've seen. And they said, yeah, King was about double that. And because they said the other one was defeated seemingly by its own attack, which, of course, through, we can kind of conclude that was Meliodas. So by common, denomination, we can decide that, the other one must have been King, unless there were more than two. But, so... And so again, we can kind of deduce that with that one being Meliodas, the other one would have had to have been the one King fought, meaning that King was at double the power level of the Albion, which means he would have been around 10,000, which is the highest actual number we've seen until Galen. So I really like the idea. Again, I feel like the power levels are kind of are cool to see in this, because I don't like power levels just in general. I think they largely made Dragon Ball Z really weird sometimes, mostly because I don't think the idea of power levels are bad, but just the way they were used in that show started just getting really stupid after a while. And so, of course, most people's experience with power levels would be through that show. So when I heard that they were introducing power levels in this show, I'm like, okay. But I like the fact that they're not just, I have a higher power level than you, therefore I can beat you. No, Meliodas, his whole thing, and it kind of feels like a video game skill or something. Like, Meliodas, he's not going to have a high power level. In fact, with his clones, they'll have low-ass power levels. The whole idea, though, is he can counter literally any attack with, lots of power. So, well, not any attack, any magical attack. So, yeah, I mean, the power levels, they're not as, literal. Again, if you look at Dragon Ball Z, I have a power level of, I don't know, 10,000, you have a power level of 8,000, I will beat you in a fight 10 times out of 10. That's just how it works. Unless you get a power boost in the middle of a battle, which I guess it's Dragon Ball Z, that will happen. Here, power levels are more just kind of to show you where people stand in relation to each other. But as we've seen, power levels shift a lot. They go up and they go down, right? That's something also that doesn't really happen in Dragon Ball Z. You power up, your power level goes up, and then it just kind of stays there. It doesn't ever, like, again, in this show, I just feel like it's more interesting in this show in the sense that you don't really have to take them super literally, right? But also, I guess it's been a minute since I've watched Dragon Ball Z, so maybe I'm over exaggerating how dumb the power levels in that show are sometimes. But I feel like for the most part, most people would agree that they kind of get kind of stupid after a point. Like when they were first introduced, it's kind of cool, but after a bit, the numbers started getting so high that it didn't even matter at a certain point. But no, anyways, that's enough talk about power levels. There again, it's whatever. We do know that the clone ability of Meliodas is from his Sacred Treasure, Lost Vein. It's kind of its unique ability. We also saw King's true Sacred Treasure, his Sacred Treasure release, or Sacred, what do you call it? Sacred Power release or something? Yeah, that was exciting. It's a giant golden spear. There's not really much else to say there. I was gonna say while watching this episode that I think like King and Ban and their like kind of fairy forest backstory is the most interesting out of all the backstories, but I don't think I can really say that because there's so much interesting backstories. You have again Ban in the forest and kind of, you know, King in the forest and Ban and Elaine, and their stories are kind of intertwined a bit. Then you also have that story that, like, I think the whole story that includes Ban, King, and Dian is kind of my favorite little story because they all kind of tie together. Like, it kind of starts with King. He's the leader of the forest. Then, you know, he leaves. Ban comes in and protects Elaine, but everyone, like, we thought he killed him at first, but then he didn't. And that kind of is how King and Ban were kind of introduced into that little storyline. And then Dian was also introduced into that little storyline because when King had left, he was with Dian, and they had this little romance story going on. And so I feel like that little there's a couple little stories that are intertwined into that one whole little story deal, but I think that's my favorite kind of group of stories from the show so far. I always get excited whenever something new comes up that involves, you know, either King and his past or Ban and Elaine or Dian and King. Like, I feel happy because I know that that's such a good storyline to be following. Of course, there are other storylines that are happening that are interesting. You know, Meliodas is kind of being the main one in his past and what the fuck is going on there. Of course, also Gowther and Merlin seem to have their kind of backstories intertwined a little bit. Well, Gowther seems to have relied on Merlin most of his life. But yeah, again, so much stories. And I really love, it's kind of a unique thing. Of course, in any good show, a character's going to have a good backstory to build up their character, right? But in this show, they're all intertwined in different ways. This person's story only progressed a certain way because this other person's story went this way, and that was also affected by this person's backstory. Like, it's all intertwined in so many ways where, like, you can't say, oh, I don't like King's backstory, I wish it never happened. Because if King's backstory never happened, and he hadn't let the fairy people and all this had happened, well then, there goes Dian's backstory. She probably never even would have joined the Seven Deadly Sins. There goes Ban's backstory, possibly. He might not have even met Elaine, or had to have protected her. You know what I mean? Like, they're all just so intertwined so much, and I really love it. It's something that I think this show does super, super well. Better than most shows that I've seen. Even some of my favorite shows don't have all the characters intertwined so deeply as this show does, and I'm not saying the show isn't one of my favorites, but I'm talking like uber favorites. Like, we'll cherry pick my favorite anime, Attack on Titan. I would say like a couple of the main characters, like the main characters, have those intertwined backstories, but a lot of them just kind of live their own life in their backstory, and you know, that's that. But you know what I mean? I don't know. It's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going anymore with this conversation. You guys have probably got the point a good 10 minutes ago, but honestly, I'm probably gonna end this off here though. There's not really too much else to talk about, so I'm just enjoying the season, and we'll see what happens with Gallant here. But anyways, if you guys want early access and or the full-length versions of these reactions, click that link down in the description. It'll take you to patreon.com/sphericalfilms, and you can check that out there. But with all that out of the way, I do thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys all on Thursday. I should probably remember, I'm never going to remember my schedule. It's just not going to happen. I'll talk to you guys all on Thursday with episode number 5 of season 2. Until then, peace out.